something. Also, we are still trying to find our time zone. We're asking people, so please do let us know what is the preferable time for you where you are in the world. We are aiming for Fiji, viewing Fiji being one of the first countries in the world that has the start of the new day, first, and particularly because we are from Fiji, and we'd like to get Fiji viewers really joining us, etc. I am also conscious of our North American uh, and English viewers. Yes, we do have them. They're wonderful. It's wonderful to know that there are people from all over the world who are resonating with, well, people who are also from all over the world. News headlines, we'll start with that. But as I said, we are still experimenting with the time we want to do the Daily Egg because we would like to get our Fiji viewers a comfortable time to start their day with and all that. Oh, it is, let's go back to the, why am I umming like I don't know how to talk on air anymore? So the day in Sydney, my friends, is a bit, well, I can't say it's dismal. Like if I draw it back a little, we'll be able to see, it's not, well, it is dismal, but I just saw a flock of cockatoos fly past, so that can't be that dismal. And the rain is falling gently, and it's that wonderful rain that you know the earth is going to absorb rather than it just, thick rain can damage the top, well, the surface of the soil, not damage, but wash. It becomes a deluge rather than a sprinkling of hydration. And, then that's where everything gets washed away and things soil then goes out into the catchments, etc., by way of drainage. Not good enough drainage, I feel now. Not good enough for how big our societal realms are now. Societal realms, our cities. But anyway, it's always good to have hydration for the earth, and I do very much appreciate it now. I've never been a rainy weather person, and I've never been a grey weather person, but the more comfortable I am inside myself, the more comfortable I have become with myself, the more I can look out at a grey day, dismal, rainy day. And there is such a thing, sad disorder, seasonally affected disorder. I swear it's a thing. Seasonal affective disorder. It's a mood disorder characterized by depression that occurs at the same time every year. Well, I don't think I have that. But I do think all of us can get a little bit affected by the weather. Weather is a big deal. It's a very big deal. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the weather later. Now, where were we? So, as I said, news headlines. So what have we got? Let's start with Fiji, actually, which means I do need to bring on my trusty glasses. And yes, it is beanie weather and sweater weather. According to the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia, we've got a black nor'easter headed our way today, Friday, the 5th of April, 2024. You'll see it. April will soon be all over the place. Not all over the place, all done with April. It's going to be May soon. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be May soon. That is my prediction. I'm umming again. Stop with the umming. So we've got a black nor'easter, and there's high chance of flooding in quite a few areas of the New South Wales coast. So I don't usually lead with the weather, but this one is significant. Parts of Sydney and northern New South Wales, excuse me, I do need to reach for my glasses, are bracing for heavy rain and possible flooding as two powerful weather systems converge on Australia's east coast. So this is, I did say I was going to start with Fiji, but this may affect Fiji as well because Fiji is still in its tropical cyclone season. That does end around about now, but the weather and Earth hasn't got a diary or calendar that says, okay, I must stop tropical cycloning right now. It doesn't really work that way. And also because of the way everything's changed. Everything has changed. The Earth is no longer being ovular. It's no longer on its oval tilt. I'm not really sure if it ever was. Where people think true north is just a little bit that. It's not there, it's that. And then with all the tsunamis, earthquakes, etc., with all the tectonic plate activity underneath the layers of this planet, underneath the layers of the surface, sorry, of the planet, and of course, things are going to shift. But there is also a quickening of time. There is a quickening of time, and it's not just age that makes us go, oh my gosh, time is going by too fast, because time also brings us face to face with our mortality. But young people are also feeling that. February, however, took all year. Back to the news. So the Bureau of Meteorology issued a severe weather warning for metropolitan Sydney on Thursday, yesterday. And yesterday then issued a flood warning for more than 30 rivers, creeks, and lakes across the state, which are expected to experience minor to moderate flooding in the coming days. So Friday and Saturday are going to be a bit oof for New South Wales and other parts of the country. Take care of yourself and everyone else as well, not just yourself. That's another thing with prayer. Who do you pray for? Do you pray for the world? Do you pray for the end of war? The manifestation thing. Yes, it does work because it is about visualization and actualization. And I will talk a little bit more about that. I have talked about it in other lives, and I'm not quite sure if I talked about it on the Daily Egg, but the art of visualization. I have, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more, because when you are visualizing, do you visualize a peaceful world for everyone? Or are you only visualizing for yourself? Are you manifesting for yourself? And that is primarily what we all do. Of course, we want to. We want to make ourselves better. We want to heal. We'll get to that. So, the news. These are some of the few little things I had collected, but I'm not sure if I'll get back to this later. Let's see what's fresh today. Let's see. Fiji Village. So, the Water Authority of Fiji has managed to expose the fault site. This is the Water Authority of Fiji works to repair fault affecting Suva water supply. Repair timeline still uncertain. My friends, when Dwayne and I lived in Fiji for a few months in 2022, we experienced this. I don't really know where and how the blame goes, because people start blaming the Water Authority and the workers of the Water Authority. What do the workers know? They get paid a pittance. I don't know if the hourly rate in Fiji has gone up from $2 Fijian an hour. Oh, and things are so expensive. Simple things like bread and butter are so expensive the world over now. That's just because of profits. Everything is expensive because people want profit. People don't want equity. They want imbalance. They want profit. Let's get back to the news. So, the Water Authority of Fiji has managed to expose the fault site. It's in Wailoku, which is a lovely, lovely place. That, well, it used to be. That is affecting water supply to thousands of Fijians living in the Greater Suva area. But they cannot give the exact time the works will finish. And when we were living in Fiji, we experienced that. It is shocking. In a metropolitan area, Fiji may be classified as third world, is it? Or global south? But it's a tropopolitan, and we have got modern day infrastructure. It's just that there doesn't seem to be money to do anything about it, and the government is focusing on things that I don't know what they're focusing on right now. I guess they're focusing on filling the coffers. I'm not going to the government's Fiji people who have voted for the people have a right to say things about their government. I do too, as a person born of Fiji, but I also understand it takes a lot to rewrite not just RIGHT, but WRITE. What has happened, and Fiji was governed by a regime that some see as tyrannical, and really, yes, but others see as, well, this could have been the right thing because people wanted democracy. Democracy at the end of a battering ram or a stick is not the right way to go. People do need guidance, and they do need to be corralled into that, yes, but not like they are slaves and cattle and stupid, but but in the way of understanding. And the understanding happens first and foremost if people are first given comfort and are first shown proof and evidence of what governments can do And then, okay, But as I said, we experienced it and it was crazy. And so learned to, fill up water. But we've always known this in Fiji. You always have water and boiled water to back it up because of cyclones. When we moved back to Fiji in the 70s, mid-70s, from where we were living overseas, there was a massive cyclone. And from then on, we just drank boiled water. It became quite a habit for everybody in Fiji. So as I'm saying, where is the money to fix all this infrastructure? It's there. Check out what Fiji's GDP, gross domestic product, is. It's quite a lot. There is money in the coffers. But everyone else, as I will share with you, everyone is now currently the money gets redirected elsewhere. And unfortunately, as we do know, money also gets redirected into personal bank accounts. Why have these people not brought into account? I do not know. There are people who have siphoned, leached, and drained, my friends, drained. Excuse me, I've just lost something. Not my marbles, just my badge. Look, one of my favorite badges. Yes, these people are never ever brought into account. Why? What is it that people know? What is it? What happens? There are people in elite systems who get taken to task, called into account, arrested, but are they, scapegoats? Where are the people who really do need to be brought into account? So anyway, the Water Authority of Fiji has reassured those affected that repair works will not take as long as the previous repair works. And now we've heard that one before, and we used to hear that in the 90s. Dwayne and I heard it in 2022, and the people of Fiji are still hearing it on April 5th, 2024. They've got no water. It is crazy. So regardless if they're living in a shack, and that still happens, they still shantytown like places, but they're not ghettos. They're little villages. They're little village settlements in the city. And those and the millionaires, and I assure you there's lots of millionaires in Fiji. I know that shouldn't be the case, considering you all think that Fiji is this backwater, we don't know anything about the modern world, etc. So that's how the governing, no, not the governing, but the organizational body for the tourism industry in Fiji works. However, the tourism industry, tourism Fiji bodies internationally are pretty good. I do like the way they are, and their progressive ways, especially the one in California. Tourism Fiji in California seems to be very progressive. Stay tuned for more information about that. So we're going to move on, but let's just see what the Water Authority Chief Operating Officer says. Seru Soderberg, the Chief Operating Officer, says that apart from the multiple pinholes, I think potholes, the washout outlet pipe has also completely ruptured. Oh, pinholes in the pipes. These are old pipes. I think these are colonial pipes. You know what that means? Colonial pipes are leaking. Heed the signs, people.
Time to change the pipes.
Time to change the pipes. Time to change the constructs. The infrastructure of society must change. We'll move on to other news. Let's go back to Fiji Village. Let's see what else is doing headlines. Oh, we've still got Ro Felipe, which RO is a chiefly term. Ro Felipe calls for collaboration to improve water services as $8.5 billion investment is needed. Well, that's great. I did say do check out the GDP for Fiji. It isn't as much as 8.5 billion. So whoever is going to invest that, I think it may be someone that already has billion population. China has already invested quite heavily into Fiji. There seems to be a war going on between China, the state of America, and Australia as to who governs the Pacific more. We're still on water here. It seems to be all about water, the weather in Sydney, the infrastructure in Fiji, and now, as I had said, heavy rain alert in force for Northern Division, Interior, and parts of Viti Levu, Yasawa, Lau, and Lomai Viti Group. So if you're listening from Fiji, please be aware there is a heavy rain alert. And if you're listening from New South Wales, heavy rain alert here. Of course, why wouldn't it be? We're all in the same region. The temperature and the currents and the behavior of the planet is all on one planet. As I said in the previous live, why do we assume that what is happening on the other side of the world, crises and conflict and wartime, isn't going to affect wherever you are in your position in the world? Okay. I'm just waving to my husband. So let's come back into Australia now. Let's see. Oh gosh, it's all still rain. Look, 100 millimeters of rain in Sydney CBD, flood warnings across New South Wales as torrential rain hits East Coast. We're seeing it now, as I said earlier. We're getting hydrated, and I think we both feel that and Dwayne especially loves rain. We both feel that Earth definitely needs it. Replenishment. We have had a lot of hot days, but it's not just about the hot days. There's a definite temperamental behavior. And of course, the word temperamental and temperature must all come from the same etymological source. So, Sydneysiders, also please be careful by the time you get to see this. I think you're either going to be drenched or be very aware that it's wet weather. Now, what else is happening in Sydney? Your smartphone is doing you damage, but getting rid of it might not be the answer. Well, we know that, and don't get rid of your smartphone, but don't let it be smart for you. What else is happening here? So there's the Alice Springs youth curfew continues. Tourism operators are at breaking point. And I do need to read this a little bit. So Alice Springs in the Northern Territory side of Australia has been affected by a lot of turmoil. So in short, tourism operators in Alice Springs say they have been heavily impacted by coverage of the town's youth curfew. They're calling on the federal government to support them through an economic support package. I agree. The 2-week curfew is currently set to stay in place until Wednesday, April 10th, but could be extended. Now, this town curfew was brought into place. Let me just quickly tell you why. So, this was a range of measures to address crime, including tougher alcohol laws and more truancy officers to keep kids in school. She said, whoever said this, Ms. Pomare, and Ms. Pomare is obviously a spokesperson. She is the Stanley Chasm General Manager. Nova Pomare, who is a tourism operator in Alice Springs, has said that she's worried about the future of her business. We've built a really great Aboriginal workforce and we're really proud of what we do. But in the last 5 years, we've just gone down and down and people are leaving in fear. Of course, in the last 5 years, we've had the pandemic to, withstand, and what it really came down hard on tourism industries the world over, including in Fiji. Tourism is no longer the answer unless you attach tourism with something else, like cultural tourism or cannabis tourism. If cannabis is now seen the world over as medical, and now the backlash has started on the medical side of things as well. Also in Thailand did experiment. Now I realize it was an experiment. I did think at the time it was absolutely now a goal of theirs to do. They had cannabis, they relaxed their cannabis laws, and cannabis bars sprung up all over the place. But apparently, by the end of this year, the government has said they're going to do away with it. It's not doing good. I don't think that is correct information. I think that is what they want people to think, because like all things, not everybody should be taking cannabis. Again, we'll talk about this perhaps later on in the program as to why I feel not everybody should be taking cannabis, but I have spoken about this. We've spoken about this in depth. We will talk about this, and we have talked about this on our podcast, Radio Fly. But banning, things like that, and then also coming down hard on people, coming down hard on youth, and what is not stated here as the youth here are Indigenous. And there is issues with Indigenous youth in Northern Territory, townships, cities, and outback. And it is not their fault. It is not the fault of the Aboriginal, the Indigenous youth and people. Not enough is done for them. Not enough is given to them to make them feel like they matter. Youth the world over, hello, in Sydney, we've had terrible things happen because youth don't have enough things to do. Young people are programmed by DNA to have the zing in them, the electricity to go find things. Otherwise, they will cause havoc. These issues, as it says here on ABC, has been brewing for a long time. I am quoting from ABC. I should say something about ABC for you. ABC has fallen out of favor in Australia. People can't trust it because their own staff can't seem to trust ABC. So they're having a few issues. Darren, do you mind if I'm going to just move the camera angle so you're not so uncomfortable being smack bang?
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Just in case you wanted to, scratch your nose or clear your throat or something like that. So I'm just taking you a little bit off angle so you're not uncomfortable, but you can still see Dwayne is there. As I said, the ABC has done some really interesting choices, and I don't know if it's ABC has been the non-commercial, ABC and SBS are the non-commercial stations in Australia, and of course, television itself, the commercial stations are trash. No one watches them other than if you want to watch reality TV, and that's not reality TV, folks. That's edited, scripted. It's not even surreal. It's not even unreal. It is edited reality. It is scripted reality. Ugh, all those Married at First Sight crap. My gosh. However, the news seems to be, we've got reality TV happening right here. Why? Well, that's escapist crap. That's all we watch entertainment for, escapism, which is why I understand shows like the Daily Egg are a bit intense for people to take in. But this is a news show. It's a view show. It's got observations, it's got insights, and maybe an opinion or two. Opinions, I feel, are not objective. They are subjective. They are what you feel is the right thing. You don't know that. You feel it. You may know it, and that's your observation and your insight. You're learned in many cases, and a lot of women have this experience where we get mansplained, even by other women, when we know what we're talking about. I constantly get this from people who, because I am very much about equality and equity, I will downplay sometimes my ability to see through and do things. It's just that at times I'm also healing from certain things, and I prefer to be healthy first now, and then get the world healthy through my sharing of observations and insights and news and other people's opinions. Anyway, but I do get this as well, where it's okay. You don't have to explain to me how to live life. Anyway, and let's just see what ABC says about Gaza. I have realized I've been saying Gaza in a very non-cultural way to say it, and as a multicultural person, I am quite pedantic about the pronunciation of place names, etc. So Gaza, and I can't quite say it because the Gaza in Arabic is a beautiful sound. So Israel says deadly Gaza aid convoy strike was a grave mistake, but experts say the images tell a different story. So I will read just the headlines as to what Australia is saying. Now, immediate ceasefire is essential. Biden tells Israel support for Gaza war depends on new steps to protect civilians. Right. Immediate ceasefire is now essential now that Israel's attacks have killed foreign nationals, State of America and Australian. So now we've got to ceasefire. I do want to read the story that I had read the headline for, where Israel says that their convoy strike was a grave mistake. But experts say the images tell a different story. Let me read a little bit about this. A lot of evidence still needs to be collected, but analysts are already starting to piece together possible scenarios for how the deadly Israeli airstrike on a Gaza aid convoy played out. Based on images of the aftermath and geolocations of the wreckages, they say the attack bears the hallmarks of a precision strike, and more than one. Israel claims the strike that killed 7 people working for disaster relief organization World Central Kitchen on Monday was unintentional and followed a misidentification. This happens in war, says Netanyahu. But WCK founder Jose Andres says the aid workers had been targeted systematically, car by car. The strike, which killed an Australian, a Palestinian, and citizens of the UK, Poland, and a dual US-Canadian national, has triggered international condemnation. Now it's triggered international condemnation. Now, since October 7th, we've had international discourse on what is right and what isn't right. But let me tell you now, October 7th was just the most recent prevailing dominant attack on the people of Palestine in an almost 76-year system of depression and turmoil. But now it has triggered international condemnation. Whew, I'm getting hot under the collar here. I'll take my beanie off. This is serious business. Now, let's go to Sydney Morning Herald. Again, these are two of my favorite sources of news in Australia, but look, I'm not sure either one is actually being the voice of the people right now. Media currently, world over, is not being the voice of the people. It is being controlled and manipulated. And I have to think about what is happening with the media. We know the media is controlled and manipulated by the elite and the 1%ers and the oligarchs and the and all those people. But there is something else happening. There's something else happening. Why does media not want us to know the truth? And news, of course, is that Meta is now disallowing news and magazines, etc. Let me just see what's happening here. So Meta claims it gives news publishers $150 million in free traffic. So, wow, this is what's happening. And this is old news, but I do want to tell you what has happened now in Meta and Facebook, etc. So Meta, I believe, has shut down. So Facebook, and this is news from April 2nd, so it's fresh news, and this is from editor and publisher. And I'm not quite sure where this is located, but it is one of the news sites I get news from. Facebook shuts news tab after Meta vows, Meta vows to stop paying Australian publishers for content. Meta says it will take a number of days for news tab to be fully removed in Australia and the United States. Facebook has closed down its news tab as its parent company, Meta, follows through with plans to reduce news content available on its services. Why do you think it wants to do that? That isn't just Facebook, that is also Instagram. And a very strange thing has happened. When I try to download my Instagram information, please do so, back up your information all the time, everywhere, even on your social media, highlight feed platforms. It sent it. It takes a few hours, etc., to do, but instead of sending it to your email, Instagram sends your information to your Google Drive, which is great because that's your email where it's if you're with Google, right? But it sends it to your Google Drive. And that's strange. So they no longer want to. I don't know. People better at coding and figuring all this stuff out. But he's got his headphones on, and so. I don't know. But the news tab was inaccessible for users in Australia as of Tuesday, but the company said it would take a number of days to fully shut it down in Australia and the United States. The technology giant, which owns Facebook and Instagram and is in partnership with Google, has been criticized by the Australian government and media outlets over its decision to stop paying publishers for news content. Well, I'm not sure if it paid everyone, but it certainly didn't publish my news content. It would keep suspending it. I would keep getting suspended from Facebook from posting news items that they think is against their community standards. So news items about slavery, about the misogyny that women, of course, well, misogyny is against women, gyno being the term for women, anthro being the term for people, andro being the term for man. So, get your news sources from trustworthy places, the Daily Egg and One Take News, which is where I will do the deep dive in, and I curate news headlines from the week and things that have really been, prevalent or prevailing or persistent in being news headlines, and break them down a little bit more. And One Take News is on Saturday. We'll let you know what time. Again, as I said earlier, we are still trying to figure out what time is best for our viewership, particularly because we would like to start with Fiji citizens, Fiji viewers getting the news in the morning. But as this is going to be permanently on our channel, you can see it anytime you want. Great. So this again is from Sydney Morning Herald, but from March the 8th. Job losses and potentially dire impact on regional media from Meta's news exit. Meta's refusal to pay for Australian news content could have a dire impact on Australia's largest regional publisher, Australian Community Media, says its executive chair, Anthony Catalano. And this is from Sydney Morning Herald, and the article was written by Callum Jaspan. The media boss said on Thursday, absolutely, there would be job losses across the company, which houses all blah, blah, blah. So that we now know that no news will be available on Facebook. We've known that for a few months now, because I think Meta had done that last year or the year before. It refused to let us publish actually news things. And, oh, it must be time for...
Right.
Okay, well, I'll be joining you because this is the Daily Egg, and we will be, going back into Studio K, but we are now starting our news headlines from here. So get your news here on One Take News. I will read out a few more. So that was from Sydney Morning Herald from March. Instagram will also now start banning or if I get a lot of news from the world on Instagram, the accounts I follow are news accounts, science accounts, etc. And I do rely on what's happening in the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not a Twitterer, Xer, but I do rely on Instagram to have fresh news. And you've got to watch, because your algorithm doesn't exactly get you the current news. Sometimes you look down and something will be months old and you think, oh my gosh, is this happening now? Always look out for what you are. Be very aware, or be observant. Now, I had said there were TDE news and the Daily Egg news that I saved that. So Rush is an independent, cool girls magazine in Australia, and they're saying they may be removed for Instagram and Facebook in the coming weeks. They have no say in the matter. So what I'm saying to you now, friends, is that we're going back to old school stuff is what's happening. Join us on the Daily Egg for news. I curate it. I don't always write it myself. I can't source it because I'm here. I need people from all around the world, which is why we are looking for sponsors for our shows on the lives of our days. The Daily Egg, the feed, our Finalysis, our outside broadcasts. There's quite a few shows there to come on board with, particularly the news shows, One Take News. We're looking for patrons and sponsors. It's time to really be able to speak freely and transparently. I'd like to deliver and unpack the news for you. So join us tomorrow for the One Take News. I'll let you know when that is going to be. Is there anything else I'd like to show you here now? On the Associated Press, we've got headlines now. I'm going to move out of this region. Associated Press, judge rejects Trump request to dismiss clarified documents prosecution. Now, Trump is winning on some sides and getting bombarded on the other side. I don't know how this person has it so cushy. We do, but we'll unpack that tomorrow. Conan O'Brien will be a guest on The Tonight Show 14 years after his acrimonious exit. Okay. Biden tells Israel's Netanyahu future U.S. support for war depends on new steps to protect civilians. That's just bullshit threats. They're talking on the phone like, mate, old man mate, right, you better stop bombing civilians. I don't know how Netanyahu speaks. Yes, I deliberately said it that way. Although I do like nuts. And look, so that happens. And then I've got another headline here. Powerball jackpot reaches 1.23 billion. As long odds mean lots of losing, just as designed. Lottery winners, freak of nature luck. But that's why the lottery jackpot keeps going up and up, because people are in really, really tight times. All right, my friends, we are now heading over into Studio K. I spent a bit too much time talking about a few other things when I really, really wanted to just read quite a few of the headlines out. I've got Reuters, I've got CNN, I've got BBC, I've got European news outlets here, and Al Jazeera, of course, which is actually facing its own... because Israel wants to get Al Jazeera off the air, and they're scared about what Al Jazeera is saying. And I get a lot of my information news-wise from Al Jazeera because Al Jazeera tells the truth. Well, they try to. So now let me see. Hello, join me. I'm going to just temporarily turn off the visual. How do you do that here, though? Let me see. Oh, I don't know. So you just might as well be stuck with my... Here, look at my Science Museum badge. Sorry about that. I have to find a better way to do this. I must find a way to... Or just talk amongst yourselves or get a drink before we head on to the kitchen. I have to find a better way to actually make a transition. And the only better way I know is to turn the screen off, and I don't know how to do that. I don't want to do that right now, just in case I turn it off forever. So, so that was the news part of the Daily Egg this morning. Good morning. And now we'll just go into the observations and insights and questions things of our hour. I hope you're all well. Yes, I have been talking about the weather. I'm obsessed with weather. I love weather. Weather is something that I have always been interested in. I have followed it on the stock exchange. I followed weather. Where else? You know, for me, I'm very affected, and I said that to you that there's a season affective disorder, which actually leads to depression around the same time of the year for people, particularly in the transition from, say, summer to autumn to winter, which I don't mind the transitions, but I absolutely love weather changes. And as I had said earlier, how you view the weather, I guess, is dependent upon how you are inside and how safe you are. The safer you feel, and safety really does start from inside, the safer you feel, the more comfortable you are with turmoil outside of you, or grey weather, stormy weather outside of you. And that's where privilege also comes into it, unfortunately. My darling, have you brought a laptop over here for me to look at more references for the news? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Very much. But we're in Studio K now. It's the Daily Egg for Friday, April 5th, 2024. We are experimenting with the format. We are experimenting with the times. As I said, we would like the people of Fiji, our lovely Fiji viewers, to have fresh news in the morning every day. And as I said, there's just brief readings of news headlines from all over the world. And join us on Saturdays for One Take News. The time is yet to be decided, as I said, which I've already said. We're experimenting with times. We would like the people on closest to the international date line, the start of the day, to have the news first. But that does mean that our North American and UK viewers won't get it first. So that's okay. That's right. Thank you, beloved. But we're still, so bear with us here. We're going to find that time that is going to be a sweet spot for everybody, or maybe not for everybody, but you know, everything is here so you can see it after. The art of visualization is what I had brought up earlier, manifestation, etc., what that is. And I have talked about that before, that when we manifest, it's a prayer, and it's affirmations. We know manifestation, affirmation, but visualization still seems like a bit of a fancy way to do things. It's not, it's the same thing. But visualization often gets conflated with fantasy. Fantasized, not conflated, not the word. The actual action of visualization gets confused with fantasizing. So people tend to fantasize rather than visualize. They're like, oh, I want this for myself, and when I do this, I'll do this, and I'm going to take revenge on everybody. But that's great. Revenge, I don't know, but revenge is a great motivator. That's why the shitheads always seem to... Yes, it is that kind of news and views show. Excuse me, I do need to cough. So, visualization, right? It's a prayer. Who do you pray for? When you manifest, when you visualize and you pray. And people say they pray with intent, but what does that mean? Praying with desperation is not the same as praying with intent. It's just that desperation brings the intention into our beings, into our souls, like, please, please help me, kind of thing. I have talked about in previous lives where I feel that belief should be after self-knowledge and self-understanding. And that when prayer happens, it is after the fact of knowledge, self-knowledge. So I think that when people pray, it's with a desperation after all else has failed. I think this is why they do suggest, they being the people, the religious, and our bosses, to be, or people, or religion full stop, is something you have to do every day. But again, what is that? What are you praying for? When praying with mantras and psalms and prayers that have been given to you to recite in order to be one with the Lord or the religion, what does that prayer mean? I mean, do you understand what you're saying? Do you have prayers yourself that you write out yourself and that you say with intent? And do those prayers actually have other people with that, in those prayers? Do the prayers, are they for other people of the world? Are you praying with intent for the world to find the peace that the world's people need? Are you praying, manifesting for the world? Or do we pray just for ourselves? Do we pray to be given guidance to be a better person? Or do we pray and think that that makes us a better person because we pray? Does just quoting God, a psalm, a verse, a mantra, or saying you believe in God, does that make you a better person? This is one thing that has always been, I'm very curious about. People assume, the assumption, is that what it is? That if you believe in God, you're a good person?
Well, I've heard interviews, like people interviewing priests and stuff, and they've said, the priests have said that if it wasn't for the conversion, they'd be raping and murdering and all that stuff. So
priests?
Yeah, priests.
And these people are priests?
Yeah.
Oh cow.
So
Holy
if it wasn't
cow.
for the word of God, they'd be evil.
Wow, I was so shocked by that. I couldn't even say the holy in holy cow. I said, ho cow.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people, I mean, not all priests.
I've heard it, but I've heard
I've heard a priest say that. I'm like, wow, shit.
It's like that ex-league player who was a rugby union player by the name of Israel. And he would look up, he would, don't do that pointing thing anymore, okay? That pointing thing. Especially if you're in competition or war, don't point to the sky and say God's on your side. The whole nature of God is on everyone's side. And therefore we're supposed to be too. But as Dwayne has said, I know other people. I've seen it. I've read it. I've read it in, these people saying if it wasn't for God, they'd be doing all this stuff. And for me, that is like, woo! So God is your shield.
Yeah.
God is your jail that you put yourself in so you won't commit the crimes that is inside your brain, because your brain is, Yeah. For priests to say that if it wasn't for God, they would be a problem, still shows me that they are a problem, because there are crises in faith. All of us, even the ones who don't believe in God, start thinking, see, there is no God, because I think secretly even the atheists want to believe that there is something higher. Because we can all look around and say, look.
That's agnostic, right?
Agnostic? That's agnostic, yes.
Unsure or just sitting on the fence?
Sitting on the fence, maybe, or they want proof. I don't mind that.
Sure.
But then that's saying they want proof of air, so for me that's like, whatever. Theism and atheism is absolutely discounting theism, discounting the fact that they are deities and spirituality, etc., etc. Maybe they are okay with spirituality in nature, but I think you can't deny that there is something higher in the air, a higher power. You cannot deny the spirituality of us, because human beings, look at us, look at how magical we are. Science shows us just how spiritual human beings are. And we are powerful, and we are telepathic. And what we are trying to do, Dwayne and me, us here, right now, is to be vocally telepathic. I really believe in being vocally telepathic. And this is what the world needs to get to. We will all know where we are. We'll know who the shitheads are. We won't be taken by surprise, and then we'll figure out why are you racist? Why do you want to exterminate a people? Why do you think you're superior based on your skin shade or your status quo economic demographic? Why is that superiority? Why do people feel the need to feel superior? Why do people hide behind masks? What is it we're also ashamed of? So, we're all waiting for a higher power to show their hand. Of course, genderizing the higher power, making the higher power him doesn't make any sense to us, no, at all, considering all life comes from the feminine. The seed is sowed, yes. The seed is essential, yes. But life is feminine. We all come from feminine. We all start off as feminine in utero. And also, if you have seen the inside of a vagina, and I'm talking all the way inside, I'm talking medically, and if you have seen what a cervix looks like, and you'd be surprised at the number of people who don't, including the people who own the cervix. And cervix, by the way, we have two. Cervix is just the entryway or the joining. It's a bridge between outer. So we have two, and they were previously connected while we were not just in utero, but in our cells. And when the cell got the first, like a tree, think about a tree, like a seed sprouting. That's how the cell sprouts when we are fertilized and our mothers have us inside them. The seed sprouts, and then we unfurl. And when we unfurl, we have unfurled from that fetal position we know. Think about the fetal position. Think about where our jawlines were once connected to when we were curled up like a fern in a fetal position to unfurl.
Like a seed.
Like a seed, like a tree, like life. Our pelvic regions were joined to our jaws, and they're very much still extremely connected. So, please do go fact check for yourself. The cervix is not just inside our vaginas. We have a cervix here, the neck cervix. And our mouths and our genitalia, yes, they're all related. Our jawlines, women, I hope that one day you get a wonderful genital massage, a yoni massage, it's called, of your, it's just and it's not sexual, and it's not even sensual, it's not meant to be. It'll be quite painful, and when it first happens to you, if it's done the right way, you will cry. Fully dressed, I was like, it's just this, it just requires safety. It requires safety. So if it's not something that can be done by your partner, your safe person, a friend, if you would like to do it for each other, it's not sexual, just massage. I can't tell you where, if you'd like to know how, all around in the junction, the labia. Actually, Dwayne, you could perhaps help, we can talk about that later, or because you're the one who did it, and Dwayne is a natural massage person, a natural healer.
Well, so you did knee. You massage knee. It
just feels wonderful.
Yeah.
We hold so much. Men too. Men also should. I'm not just talking about women, but women, you need it. Men, because of their external holding of the penis in every get some sort of connection and massage, even in the washing of the penises. And there's a massage. Women don't get that massage enough. Now, I was going back, talking about cervixes. If you look at what a cervix inside a vagina looks like, it looks like the head of a penis. Because if every one of us started off as female, it makes absolute sense to me that if you please, please go and look at it. I feel I can't, I don't know. Am I allowed to show what an inside of what a cervix looks like? I don't know. I feel like it may be considered, I don't know.
Pornographic?
pornographic or vulgar according to all the community standards of all these platforms.
Well, I mean, if that girl can stick things in her, she should be right.
A few lives ago, I was talking about just coming across these. I'm looking at other accounts, etc. What are they doing? It becomes about numbers. I hate things becoming about numbers. I'll get back to that another time. Just what Dwayne had said. And there's this account. They've got millions of subscribers, and it's just all shorts of this young Euro-white blonde young woman. And she's obviously with her boyfriend, and they think, well, these idiots want to fall for it. They're going to do it. Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that's still exploiting everybody and still perpetuating some pretty shitty things for women. So it's not working, and I think this mercenary capitalist outlook of, oh, look, if it makes money, so what? So do whatever. So this young woman and her partner are making fully clothed pornographic shorts. And what she does is she gets her viewers, obviously male, to tell what the size of their penis is. Obviously lies. Come on, women, we know guys lie, and we do too. I assure you, you'll know when a good sized penis, or actually the penis that is meant to be for you. How about that? The size may not matter, but it does. But I'm going to go one step further and say it actually matters because it needs to match your vagina. And so many of us have not been, or are, I'm going to say I'm no longer me. So many of us are not with our proper fits. Doesn't it make sense that we're all supposed to fit with our proper matches? Our proper matches. So, looking at this account, so she's getting, and then she's holding up a measuring tape and holding up equivalent things like, I don't know, whatever. And then she pretends to insert it into her vagina. You can tell she's fully clothed. She's wearing, like, you can see the top of her jeans. And then she starts making moaning and groaning noises. And how stupid are these males that they get off on it? Anyway. Pretty stupid. But it gets her millions of views. Millions. I don't know if it gets them any money. What's the point? Maybe it does. I don't know how YouTube works. By the way, we are looking for sponsors, and I have said that earlier on, but I'm going to say it all the time because you need fact, and you need truth, and you need logic, and you need spirituality, you need science, you need transparency. You absolutely need all of this. I do. We all do. Anyway, I'm sure you can look up for yourself what a cervix looks like, but it looks like the top of a penis. And to me, it makes perfect sense that once the body decides, once the brain decides, or whatever it is that decides what a person is going to be, and I think it's very much the cells in the body, which is why we have more and more people who do not know who they are. They are born not knowing who they are, or they are born in different bodies. Yes, it does exist. It has existed since humanity began because we have anomalies in the DNA combinations when they combine, fertilization-wise. It makes absolute sense to me that the cervix, which is basically the gateway to a woman's internal organs, oh my gosh, the cervix. When it then gets pulled out of the canal, and that canal, which is the vagina, gets pulled out and then filled with everything to create the penis. Does it not make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does it not make sense to you? Oh, it's quite miraculous. What a miracle the body of a human being is. Such an absolute miracle. And the feminine responsibility. Amazing. Anyway, I was talking about the art of visualization. This is all connected, and I'm not quite sure how I got into all of that, but that's okay. I'm sure you understand. So art of visualization is about visualizing and not fantasizing. It is about really having intent. It's starting off simple. It's a prayer. Prayer is affirmation. It is merely really cementing, really writing with, ink permanent ink in your brain that this is what is going to be. It is putting yourself in the future present and knowing that right now is the present, and that tomorrow the present will change and be the present of tomorrow. The present changes every time. Put yourself in your future timeline. See how you are. See how you want to be. And then want this for the world. Because, you know, as much as all of us are anti-genocide and pro-humanity, I also want the genociders to find some peace. I don't just want them to have, you know, their dues, their proper, you know, what's the word? Recriminations, etc., etc. Yes, they all need to. Well, actually, you know what? Some of them just need to not be here anymore. Unfortunately, there are people and collectives you cannot change. What is it that they want? What is it they want? Why can't we all have this World Council? Gosh, I'm talking about such a futuristic seeming ideal, but I am visualizing it. A World Council made up of people of different communities of the world, that which we called countries, but we will now call communities of the world.
Isn't that the UN?
Oh, God.
World Council, right?
United Nations is not. Any body that has united in its noun or title, you know, is not. You know that people have said, no, I say we, you, I will handpick, we are united. The United Nations should have had not the power, but the strength and the respect to say no more, especially to Palestine. What happened 75 years ago should not have happened. Why couldn't these ex-European refugees who had gone through such heinous, terrible, terrible things, they had already started moving there. You should know the histories of the world before you take your sides, and then ask yourself, why do you take the side of people who perpetuate evil? Why are you so eager to champion? I'm sure viewers and here are not of that type, and that is wonderful. But I had also, so let me just complete that. Don't we want peace? We have to ask for peace for everybody. I'm not that unconditional. No, love everybody. Bullshit. Bullshit. Be selective in who you love, but don't hate. And that hating has got to stop, but that's going to take, again, centuries, because we have built up millennia of hatred. We have belief systems built on hatred. Belief systems that were supposed to unite people of common unity, of communities, of common tribes. Unfortunately, the more the population grew, the more people realized, well, that's not for me. I'm going to go and do something else and find like-minded people, etc. So create another tribe. And unfortunately, the good thing that, yes, was expansion and free will and free thinking. The bad thing, and which is why I said unfortunately, that created comparison. Comparison creates competition. Competition leads to sport and war and an imbalance in the way the world should be. There seems to be something really... Equality already existed. We were born and created with equality. Equality already exists, and that's what we call equity. It has all changed, of course, because over the millennia, DNA has been combined to create, I don't know, it's harsh to say to create a world that should not have been the way it is. But too many things went off kilter, off path. The free will in our brains gave us that ability to make the right choices, to make choices. I feel some choices were not right. Anyway, I had also touched very briefly on tourism, how it doesn't work, how weather, how everything is being affected. I will talk more about the little news piece I had read out about what's happening in Alice Springs and the youth curfew, etc., and how this Alice Springs tourism operators are saying, please, no more, we are already dying because of the events of the last 5 years. Now, Alice Springs is the township, main township near Ulara, where Uluru is. And Uluru, if you should know, formerly known as Ayers Rock, should never have been known as Ayers Rock. Ayer was just the name of the minister of South Australia. No, I don't even remember the person who discovered Uluru. You know, the Anangu people had discovered Uluru a long time ago. Thank you very much. But anyway, Alice Springs is where the airport is, and people can fly into Alice Springs to go and visit Uluru and the surrounds, Katajuta National Park, and Kings Canyon, everything else around there. And it's really problematic with all of this terrible stories about what's happening, and what they don't say in the news thing is really it's the indigenous people. And they like to blame the indigenous people without actually taking, you know, any responsibility for what has happened to the indigenous people. So I'll talk more about that on One Take News. But that is why I'm talking about tourism and how tourism itself does not work. We need to attach something to tourism to make it relevant, to make it something else. I'm losing words here, so it must be time for me to eat. Therefore, it is time for the most important part of our show, the Daily Egg. Ta-da! Thank you very much for being here. As I said, we are now experimenting with our times, etc. Stick with us. We're still here. We're always going to be here. If you don't watch us live, then we're permanently where you need us to be to watch us. Thank you. This was the Daily Egg for April 5th, Friday, April 5th, 2024. If you're in Sydney, and if you're in the Pacific region, New South Wales region, and Pacific region, especially Fiji, there's lots of huge weather warning. Please take care. Fiji needs the water, because certainly when they turn their tap on, they don't get it. What a shame for a tropipolitan city, but there you go. Sydney has some issues as well. We've got flash flooding and flooding to contend with. Our catchment systems are not working either. Okay, that's the way of the world. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time on the Daily Egg. Join us tomorrow for One Take News. Thank you. Bye.